Hello students, Dr. Safko here, and this is our Lecture 11 for Chapter 11, Structs. So I've already put the project and workspace together just to save a little time to get that out of the way. I think you're pretty skillful at doing that now. And what I want to do is I want to build a struct. So right before the include namespace, a struct, at least in this case for our example, is going to be a global variable. So we don't want it to be isolated just to int main. We want it to be global, especially if we have some functions down here that will take in that struct. It needs to know what it is. So the struct I've chosen to be an example for this lecture is struct BP for blood pressure. Notice how the system automatically put a semicolon in. One of the few times you'll see a mandatory semicolon appear after a curly brace is in structs. So we have this blood pressure. If you know anything about blood pressure, when the nurse or doctor takes your blood pressure, they take two numbers, the systolic, that's the upper number, and the diastolic. Now, I'm no doctor, I don't play one on TV, but from what I remember, it's diastolic. It's one's the heart being active, one's the heart being at rest. So we have systolic and diastolic. So this little BP object is going to track those elements. Okay, so let's come down here into int main, and I will create two integer variables because the struct is going to handle integers. I've never heard of a blood pressure, systolic and diastolic, be like 120.7. It's usually some round integer number. So we're going to say int sys and dias for systolic and diastolic. So let's welcome the user. Welcome to the blood pressure tester. Okay. And then we'll ask them, cout, enter your systolic rate. Okay. Fix that. And cout, enter your diastolic rate. And already I'm typing faster than my keyboard is displaying, so I anticipate a crash anytime now. So you've been warned. You heard it here first. So we enter our systolic rate and int, cn to the sys. All right, line things up because we're all good software engineers. And then cn the dias. Now, up here, I'm going to create a struct object. So since we've created this is our own creation, BP, and I will call it my BP. So this struct object is now going to be encapsulated into this variable called my BP. So down here, I can say my BP dot, ta-da, there it is. It knows about it because it's global, and there are all my member variables. However, they're in alphabetical order. So, so you select the one you want. Systolic will be assigned whatever we entered for the sys. My BP dot diastolic, IntelliSense is great, gets the dias. Okay. And we'll print it out. But what I want to do is I want to start getting into using functions for printing things out. So up here in the prototype, and you need to declare the prototype before the namespace but after the struct, because if I'm referencing BP, the software is not smart enough to know that BP has been declared already. So I'm going to say void print info, and what's coming in is a BP object. I will just call it data. Okay, so let's write the print info down here. Void print info, and the object is coming in BP we don't have to call it data. We can call it input. Remember, you don't have to call it everything that matches up with the prototype. I mean, if it's very, very descriptive, you can. But students somehow think that it has to be called exactly as it is up here, and that's not necessary. Okay, so let's echo this out to them. Cout. Your data is, I'll give it 2 new lines, /n/n. Cout, we shall say systolic rate, and I'll move that over a little bit, leave a little space there. And look at this. I'm going to actually access it directly from the input struct. Input.systolic. And L. Cout diastolic rate. There we go. And go and get out of my way. There we go. I'm trying to line things up to make it look all nice and pretty. Okay, input okay, that got all messed up there. This should be the diastolic, and this should be the systolic up here. And why that happened is because of the alphabetization. It was still highlighted when I pulled it down. Okay, now that was individual, but if I use the arrow to go down, it still thinks it's on diastolic. There we go. All right, and that should be it. Of course, we've got to invoke it. So here we say print info my BP. Sending my BP in. All right, save it, compile it. What did I do wrong? So far, so good. My BP, capital. All right, recompile. Run it. And there it is. What's my systolic? I think I'm kind of healthy. What am I, 160 over 98? There we go. And I think these numbers mean I got high blood pressure. Oh well, we don't care about my high blood pressure. We just care that we got the data right, right? Okay, so let's close that. And it is, yes, terminate. It is diastolic. Okay, not disaster stolic, which is what I am. Okay, all right, so simple enough. We sent it in. In fact, why don't we convert this input into something that will take our input data? So let's create another prototype, void, and we can call it maybe set info. So we're going to set the info to the BP data, but we're going to send it in via reference, ampersand data. Okay, so we declare all this, and I'm going to comment this out, but I'll capture it, Control C, down here in, here we go, shut down. All right, let's try again. Open up. Yes, I know. Any day now. I hate splitting these videos into several ones, but this is the life we lead. If you don't come up, okay. I'll have to make this as a second video. All right, signing off for now. Oh wait, we might be up here. No, it's acting wonky. Okay, here we go. So let's see, it won't remember recent workspaces because it didn't shut down normally. So I'm going to have to open, and here's 11aStructs. Okay, cancel this. Here's my main.cpp. Okay, control scroll bar to zoom in. No one has complained about the videos being small, but I know I would have. So there we are, we can see. And yep, it did not capture my new method, void set info BP ampersand data. Okay, and as you know from one of your quiz questions, it doesn't matter where that ampersand is in terms of smack up next to the data type or the variable. Conventionally, we use it next to the variable, but I've seen it all sorts of ways. Though I've never seen it this way, that's still valid. All right, do a save. Don't want to lose any work again. And so down here, I'm going to write void set info, and I'm going to send in the info by data. You know what? I'll still use the name data. Now, before I had commented it out. Now I'm just going to cut it. And I want to move this so you all can see. Come on. There we go. So I'm going to cut all of this. I'm going to paste it here. Do a save. Okay, so it's going to welcome us, enter your systolic rate, and now I'm getting lazy. I'm going to go, instead of sys, data dot, see, I moved that with the arrow, so it's not going to take systolic. I have to actually click it with my mouse. Good. Enter your diastolic. Oh, diastolic, it still had that misspelled. Data dot, there we go. I don't have to change this or use this because it's all been set. And once I'm done, that's it. By passing by reference, that information is up here. So therefore, I don't need, well, I still need the BP, the my BP. I needed to house it somewhere. And here I will say set info, my BP. All right, so I'll set it, print it. Let me save, compile, run. Okay, is it behind there? Usually if it doesn't come up, what you can do is go into the folder where you're saving it, go into the bin folder, and here is the executable, so I can run it right there. Okay, now a much normal rate would be 120 over, I don't know, 60, let's say. There we go. It took care of it. Okay, did it nicely. All right. So the next thing I want to show you is how we can have nested structs. Structs in a struct, which is given in the chapter. Oh, son of a gun. All right. Reopen. Who knows how much of this I've lost. Okay, you know what? Let me stop it. I only have one more thing left to show. Or let's see. Yep. I'll stop. I'll create a new one from where we last